Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Love is Worth Fighting For, the Meraki Series book number 3 by Effie, Kammenou, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, Krystina, December 2019. "I'll bring you another one, sir," Krystina said as politely as she could stomach to one of the rudest customers to walk into her sister's cafe. On top of hearing the agitated man's litany of complaints, she also noticed Loukas hovering close by, wiping down a table for much longer than needed. This annoyed Krystina almost as much as the man who she wanted to accidentally on purpose douse with hot coffee. "Are you okay, Minnie?" Loukas asked. Muttering a string of inaudible curses under her breath, she rounded on him. "I've been better," she snapped, "and your name-calling isn't helping my mood." Krystina stomped over to the coffee station to remake the vanilla soy latte with 2 tablespoons of stevia precisely to the man's liking. "Way to kill a cup of coffee," she muttered, pouring the soy milk over the espresso shot. 2 more hours and she was out of here. Not that she didn't like helping out her sister or the generous tips she usually made, but this place was her sister Callie's dream, not hers. At 17 years old, Krystina had her own aspirations. With a little over 15,000 followers, she was already on her way to becoming an Instagram influencer. Not to mention the list of subscribers to her blog, Island Trotting with Krystina. One day she hoped to change the title to Globe Trotting with Krystina. Today she was heading west of her Port Jefferson village to the Bayville Winter Wonderland. Now, if she only heard back from China, her best friend and Instagram boyfriend, so to speak, she was supposed to be here by now. "Here you go, sir," Krystina chirped, forcing a smile and setting down the replacement beverage. Then she pivoted and walked away in a dash. She certainly wasn't about to wait for another complaint to spew out of the jerk's mouth. Pulling her phone from her back pocket, she checked for a reply to her several texts to her friend. Nothing. She tapped out one more before giving up. 10 minutes later, China responded. China: "So sorry, was sleeping. I'm sick." Krystina: "What's wrong?" China: "Sore throat, fever." Krystina: "Can I bring you anything?" China: "No, XOXO. Krystina: "Call you tomorrow. XOXO. "Why the glum face?" Callie asked Krystina. "If you're upset over that rude customer, don't give it another thought. It happens." She shrugged. "No, it's not that," Krystina said, disappointed. "It's China. She's sick, which I feel terrible about, of course, but she was supposed to be my ride and photographer today." "I can help you out with that," Loukas offered, coming up beside her and draping his arm around Krystina's shoulder. Krystina flashed daggers in her sister's direction at the evident amusement playing on her face before turning her anger toward Loukas. "Hands off," she growled, shrugging out from under him. "Listen, Minnie, I've got the wheels and a pair of able hands to snap the pics. It'll be fun." Flipping away the silky black hair falling over his topaz blue eyes, he grinned. "What do you say?" Krystina let out a long contemplative breath. No matter what she did, he always seemed to be around, at school, church, the cafe. She couldn't even escape him at home. He was there now more than he was at his own house. So what was the point of trying? Okay, but here's the deal. No telling me what to do, how to pose, or what shots to take. No touching me like you just did. And absolutely no calling me Minnie," Krystina insisted. "Those are my terms." "So many rules. What do I get out of this?" Loukas groaned. "I'll pay for your admission into the park." "I'd rather pay my own admission and forget all the dumb restrictions." "Take it or leave it," she deadpanned, folding her arms over her chest. "I'll be ready to leave when you are," he relented with a sigh. When Krystina's and Loukas' shift ended, he drove her home to change. As they pulled into the driveway, Krystina noticed a disturbance 2 houses down. Loukas' home, an occurrence that was becoming increasingly common. It wasn't unusual to find Manny, Loukas' father, outside screaming at his son or falling down drunk on the lawn. Whenever Manny was not himself, as her parents phrased it, they'd insist Loukas spend the night with them. There had been instances when Manny had become violent with his son. A combination of grief and alcohol made him this way, she supposed, but this was not the man she had known all her life, and it certainly wasn't the father Loukas had grown up with. Krystina diverted Loukas' attention, rushing him along. "Let's hurry up before it gets dark," she urged. Jumping from the car, she shuffled over to the driver's side. Grabbing Lucas's hand, Krystina dragged him to the front door of her home. "I thought you said no touching," he said with a smirk. "Extenuating circumstances," she answered quickly. "Don't get used to it." With the contentious situation at his own home, Loukas spent more and more time with the Underakis family. His house hadn't been much of a home since his mother had passed away 4 years prior. But before that, his family life had been very much like the one he now found comfort escaping to. In fact, Krystina's parents and Lucas's had been the best friends. The loss of Markella had been immeasurable to Krystina's parents. Her death led to grief so paralyzing that Manny Mitsakis had gradually drunk his sorrow away until there was nothing recognizable of the man he'd once been. In a sense, George and Melina lost both of their friends that day. And Loukas, who looked so much like his mother, had become nothing more than a painful reminder of her. The destruction of the relationship between father and son was the most tragic result of it all. "Give me 10 minutes, Loukas," Krystina said. "Go up to Theo's room and amuse yourself with a video game until I'm ready." "You're full of orders today," he joked. But as Krystina knew he would, Loukas complied. Her nemesis spent a good deal of his time in her brother's room during his absence when Loukas feared his father's wrath. Once Loukas disappeared into Theo's room, Krystina ran into the kitchen to question her mother. "Mom, what's going on over there?" she asked in a whisper. "Manny got into his car, apparently drunk," her mother replied in a hushed voice. "Thankfully he didn't get too far. He crashed into his mailbox, swerved, and landed in the middle of his lawn," Melina explained. "Loukas didn't see?" "No, I got him into the house in a hurry before he noticed anything," Krystina said. Melina cocked her head. "It's nice to see you being kind to him for a change." I'm not a monster," Krystina defended. "I know how bad it must be for him." "I immediately called Max directly instead of the police station," her mother explained. "He and Leo are over there now." Krystina stepped out onto her front porch. Her soon-to-be brother-in-law Max, a village police officer, and his partner Leo were on Lucas's front lawn. Max jumped in the car and moved it back into the driveway while Leo, a large and muscular man trained in martial arts, had a stronghold on Lucas's father, forcing him back into the house. The man was incredibly drunk. But for his incoherent mumbling of complaint, he didn't even have the wherewithal to resist. With a sigh, Krystina turned and headed back inside to get changed. Despite how much Loukas drove her crazy, she knew his father's actions hurt him. She hoped that by the time they left the house, the drama would be over and Max and Leo would have left. With a bit of luck, this time Loukas wouldn't even know what had happened. The weather was unseasonably warm for December on Long Island, which pleased Krystina. Instagrammable photos were more appealing in a cute outfit sans a heavy coat. But she was prepared to freeze if it meant getting the shots in just the way she wanted. Fortunately, Boreas, the Greek god of winter, decided to give her a break. So Krystina slipped on a pair of warm chocolate velveteen leggings, most of which wouldn't show under her above-the-knee suede boots, and an oversized Angora sweater. She touched up her makeup with a bit of lip gloss and cheek bronzer. Krystina's hair was lighter than that of both of her sisters. Mousy brown, if you asked her. It was her one complaint about her looks. In her opinion, hair should be dark brown and lush, illuminated by a rich hue or a light with luminosity. Hers was neither. So she gave Mother Nature a helping hand, adding sweeping highlights to her long tresses in a technique hairstylists called a balayage. As a bonus, she'd been paid to promote the hair salon on her Instagram account. Krystina walked into Theo's room to find Loukas deeply invested in the latest version of Assassin's Creed. "I'm ready if you are," she said in an almost tender tone. She sometimes had to consciously remind herself that Loukas dealt with more pain than the little humiliations he had subjected her to on occasion. Loukas glanced up at her suspiciously, narrowing his eyes. "Sure," he said slowly, as he was trying to figure out her angle. Krystina stepped further into the room to coax him out of the game chair. Loukas grabbed her by the wrist and in one swift move pulled her down onto his lap. Yelping, Krystina reprimanded him. "I said no touching." Finding herself practically nose to nose with him, she could feel the warmth of Lucas's breath grazing over her skin. "You didn't rule out kissing, though," he whispered. She blocked his mouth with the palm of her hand. Loukas grinned. "One day, my little Minnie Mouse, you're going to realize that I'm exactly who you need." "In your dreams." "Yes, it is," Loukas admitted. "One day, it will be in yours, too."